In this video, it's the further adventures of HubNut as I try to reassemble my 2CV. Can I make it better? Will more things break? Will some things go not entirely as expected? The answer to all these is yes. Well, it's a few days on, got some bits I need. We've got this little envelope from ECAS 2CV parts and got an invoice for about 10 quid and 2 gaskets. Now, I'll quickly talk about eBay. You can go on eBay. You can buy these gaskets for £10 each. eBay is the worst place to buy 2CV parts. I don't recommend it at all. You're far better off checking out Facebook groups. My friend Simon sells second-hand parts as Tarks Parts. And yeah, there's many better alternatives. The specialists sell stuff cheap. The specialists don't like eBay. It's very hard to make money on eBay. So they don't. They run their own website. So ECAS 2CV parts is one. They've supplied those manifold gaskets, and Burton 2CV parts is the other one. This is all paid for. I mention this purely because these are the companies I choose to use. Burton 2CV parts in the Netherlands. I visited them last summer with this very car, and that was good fun. Didn't find the fault, but there was a strange knocking noise I eventually got to the bottom of fairly recently. It turned out to be shock absorber bushes. My MOT man found that one. But they sell a supercoil. This is to match the design, as you can see down here, of the standard coil. But this is a supercoil. It uses a similar engineering to the Harley-Davidson motorbikes. And indeed, you can use a Harley-Davidson coil on a 2CV, but you need different leads. You need to change the wiring around. I want something that's stock. These are not cheap. This was about 80 quid. And then delivery, so I think this ended up being about 100 quid delivered. I ordered this before I placed the ECAS order, because ECAS do sell them as well. But I like Burton, I like what they do, so I wanted to support them. Burton 2CV parts, there you go. So we'll swap that coil on. This is designed specifically to work with the electronic ignition. It's running 123 electronic ignition, completely pointsless. So I'm hopeful that this will solve the starting problems that caused the manifold problems, and we'll get somewhere. But there's been a slight HubNut issue, which I will now show you. So when I ordered manifold gaskets, I really should have ordered some more gaskets. I'll just grab the manifold down here. I think this is the good manifold. Just check it hasn't got holes in. No, that's the bad manifold, but it'll do for these purposes. There is a gasket that goes here. On top of this goes this insulator block, like so. And well, we'll wedge it on. It's just for, yeah, that goes on there. And then the carburetor goes on top. And you can just see on the underneath of that carburetor a paper gasket. That gasket is fine. That's in good condition. But sadly, the one between the manifold and the base plate, not okay. So stage one is going to be make a gasket. So I'll show you how I'll do that. Right, I'm going to see if I can use this. This is thick envelope paper, and I'm going to see if I can punch the 4 holes first. Get that lined up, and on the back, there we go. That's punched my 4 holes. Get the gasket off again. Block, insulator block. If we push this all the way down. Oh, that one's ripped a bit, but it's alright, it's on here. So if I rub an oily finger around here, I can then see exactly where I need to cut. So that's nice and obvious. Going to do the outside as well, because why not? And you see that it just magically appears. There is actually a use for oily fingers, who knew? If I can gently get this off again, I can now cut out the middle, and that's my gasket. There we go, one beautiful paper gasket. Apparently they didn't have any gasket from the factory, but that doesn't seem all that wise, and someone has definitely fitted one at some point, so I think we'll go for that. And we'll go for the carburetor base plate or insulator block, and make sure we fit the manifold, the carburetor the right way round. Because it's a twin choke carburetor on these. Yes, that's right. So the front of the vehicle is there, this is the rear of the vehicle. And the gasket seems okay on the bottom of the carburetor. So There we go, it's carburetor back on. So yeah, twin choke Solex makes a lovely noise when you're accelerating, because you go from part throttle to full whap 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 throttle. So that's good times. Right, let's try and work out what's going on with the nuts and bolts and fastenings now. We've got 4 bolts, 2 shape-proof washers it seems, and this little bracket to hold the throttle cable. So that goes onto the back here. I can see quite easily that that one definitely had a shape-proof washer on it. Oh, these are fiddly because you just can't get any access. So I mentioned earlier that the carburetor does drip petrol out onto the manifold. That it does through a hole on the front of the casing, which oddly is the exhaust side. But a lot of people plug that hole up. They think, oh, this hole shouldn't be there surely, and they plug it up. But that's not good, because that's necessary to maintain the right level of fuel in the float bowl. If you're not doing that, then yeah, you're asking for all kinds of trouble. I remember what I was going to say. It's that these carburetors made out of very soft metal. So look at that, you still can't get anything on that. How frustrating. So it's best to just nip them all up gently. Take your time. Don't wang one of these nuts up to full tightness and then wang one of the others. It's best to snug them all up and then just go around nipping them all up a bit more as you go. And that one, oh hello cat. Visiting cat. Let's see if I'm quick enough to show you. Hey cat, where you gone? There is a replacement cat at the unit, and there it is, along with not my Sierras. Hello puss, how are you today? You good? Oh yeah, look how magnificently fluffy you are. That's not necessarily a good look for a farm cat, I would say. Oh, very friendly. So yeah, this cat now lives in my unit and makes itself very comfortable on my jumpers. Right, where were we? Especially when the weather's particularly inclement. He or she likes to sit in that box up there, because cats love a box. Right, where were we? Yeah, you don't want to go too crazy with them, so that should do, I should think. Beautiful. Now we turn our attention back to the engine itself. So first of all, I must unplug the ports. Never leave the ports open if you can avoid it. This gasket needs a bit of removing. Plug the port again, just to make sure we're getting rid of as much of this crud as possible. So ECAS themselves sell 2 grades of exhaust manifold gasket, and these are the top graded ones. Yeah, whatever they are, it is good stuff. So get this one on here. There we go. And we'll pop one on the other side. That side much cleaner, thankfully. Unplug the ports at the back. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. It's just pulled the inlet manifold gasket off. Carburetor. Just got to slide it under the wiring loom on this side. Ah, balls, and there goes the inlet manifold gasket. And I'm going to try and drop this down without losing the other inlet manifold gasket. And before I drop this side, I'll find that gasket and pop it back in. Studs go last, because these bolts are a pig to get in, which I think is why the threads so easily get damaged, because trying to get this in just the right place is tricky. There is just one sweet spot where the bolt will go in properly, and the challenge is trying to find it. Ah, there we go, that sounded positive. So with these, I like to take them as far as possible by hand, so I've got a reasonable confidence they are actually going in. Oh, that's very happy there. It's encouraging. Maybe that's the one Pete cleaned the thread up on last time. Recall we did have an inlet manifold leak, which was possibly why I was having issues with Ellie running weak, when the general consensus was she should be running rich with the Burton jets as they were. At least, unlike on a Citroen XM, when you drop a bolt, it actually lands on the floor. Whereas on an XM, it disappears into the engine bay, never to be seen again. Oh, I hate these. I really cannot tell you enough how much I hate doing these up. Because you're just terrified. It's not quite lined up and it's all going to go horribly wrong. and strip the thread out. I really should get myself a 7mm thread chaser. I'm kind of thinking such a thing would be a good idea if you own a 2CV. There's a lot of 7mm threads, sometimes with 7, sometimes with 11mm heads. Sorry, 11 or 12mm heads. Yeah, I think that's snug. Super. Now we can get the nuts and shake proofs onto the front. There we go. Again, you can't go too crazy with the torque on the brass nuts or that goes wrong as well. So generally, as I've learnt to my cost over the years, you can't be too ham-fisted on a 2CV. So I've very much learnt the difficult way. And it doesn't help, the Haynes manual's actually got some torque settings wrong. I generally like Haynes, but they made a few boo-boos on the 2CV. We'll reconnect the carburetor up and then I think we'll have a trial, very noisy run, because that just has to be done. That sounds quite good. Exhaust system in place. Hopefully things are a bit quieter now. Let's just connect the battery back up. Oh, that's amazing. I've just managed to refit the knackered manifold. Sometimes I amaze even myself. Bodge of the century going on there. Let's move that wire out of the way. I've wrapped the pipe in aluminium tape and then reinforced it with a hose clamp. See if that's done anything for me at all. Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to last, but that does appear to be working. Just checking all the exhaust clamps. That sounded all right, is that? Oh well, I'd say that's a minor success. It's some form of success anyway. I managed to get rid of the problem, I just did it incredibly badly. But yeah, I'll button her up and hopefully we can take her for a drive. I'm going to have to nip home for lunch now, but we'll see if we can do it another day because I've got a live stream to do this afternoon, so I need to get home, which is a shame because look, it's actually a lovely day. But live streams wait for no one, so I better go and do that. Well, back here again. Did the live stream yesterday, that seemed to go very well, so thank you for everyone who joined in with that. I need to finish putting this car together. For that I'm going to need this little doohickey. And I need to get the alternator cover back on, just check the belt tension. Yeah, that seems good. And I'll slot this home. So I've bodged up my manifold pipe with aluminium tape and hope, and also a big fat hose clip. So hopefully that will actually do something and stop the thing falling off or blowing a hole again. At least long enough for me to actually get around to being bothered to sort this out again. It's what I could have done in the first place and it would have saved a lot of time and effort and money because of all the gaskets I've bought. But you know what, I don't really care at this junction. I haven't changed the crossbox either. So generally it's been a job of moderate fail, I would suggest. I think that is everything we need to do. In the engine bay we've got the new coil fitted, I've got the heater hoses back on, tied in place so they don't fall onto the exhaust and burn and melt and all those unpleasant things. So I think I'm going to get the bolts in place to start putting the wings back on. Now getting the wings on is made a little more complex. Oh, you can't even see what I'm doing down here. It's made a little more complex because I've got these dump tubes fitted now. For many years I didn't bother with the dump tubes, and I've only fitted them because I knew I was going to very hot places last summer on our way to Croatia. So I thought I'd better have them. But yeah, it has to be better. to have the heat going out of the car. But it does make getting the wing back on a little trickier, because you've got to try and squeeze that through there while trying to get everything lined up. We're not lined up down there at the moment. There we go. Right, we're on at the top. So we'll wang that on to hold the wing from falling off the car. Beautiful. And now we can try and get the front ones on. The front one also incorporates the horn mounting here. Horn. There we go. Right, set my socket back, Ellie, thank you. And yeah, I'll continue buttoning it up and then we'll go for a drive. There we go. The indicators are working and everything. So that's us done, I think, under here. It must be time to go for a drive. Ellie's going to love this. It's a horrible day. But on the other hand, it's above 10 degrees, so I don't need to muff her up. We'll see if that exhaust bodge lasts a drive to the sorting office. We'll turn the park anywhere lights off. That's what people seem to think they are. Give a bit of choke. Oh, you haven't started that well for a while, Ellie. Well, we seem to be going quite nicely out here on the open road in Ellie, the 2CV. It's been a while. It's just not generally the time of year to be using older vehicles. I mean, the vehicle is perfectly capable of doing it. It's just the long-term survival of said vehicle. It's very muddy on the roads around here. There is salt at times as well. It's just not good. So I'm taking a slightly more preservationist approach to this car than perhaps I have over the years. But it's below half a tank of fuel, so I think we'll go and fill the tank up, just so she's got some fresh. There's nothing quite like a 2CV. All filled up, time for a hot start. Yep, that would seem quite good. We seem to have some wiper issues. They went over center again. Now I think something has broken because I can do this. Oh no, maybe they're fixed again. No. That shouldn't be possible. Bother. Getting home is going to be interesting then. Because unlike an old 2CV has a manual control on the inside. Ellie doesn't, so this is a problem. Wow, that was quite the haul. The boot's full and I've even got a package on the back seat. So thank you very much, everyone. And we shall carry on with just one wiper, or maybe that's two, just in case, because it is starting to rain again. Oh yes, starting very well. There's new Burton coil. Kind of feels like it's sort of connected. I'm a bit confused as to what's going on here. Okay, maybe it doesn't feel like it's connected to anything at all. Ah, my blade popped round. Not good times. Well, there we go. I wish I could say life is better than that, but yeah, wiper woes striking again. It's completely unattached. So I don't know what's gone wrong in there. Something has broken quite dramatically. I've replaced bits of the exhaust, but then failed to replace them, and just basically wasted all my time. So it's all very, very HubNut. So sorry about that. That's as good as it gets. I wish I could pretend that I was making this up, but I'm not. So yeah, there will be a mailbag, but that's going to be it. So I shall say Merry Christmas, Nadoli Llawen, and yeah, we'll see you after Christmas. Farewell. Wiper woes.